Hi, beautiful souls. So, I know everyone's been wondering about an update, and I've been trying to get one. If I wasn't being gang stalked to such a severe degree, I'd have been able to give one sooner. However, it's time that I slip up a couple of things for you guys, and then we're going to hope for a positive resolution by the end of today for me, so that I do not have to disclose some very, 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 very more specific details about the things that I'm about to mention that you guys still need to be aware of. So for myself, over the last couple of weeks, because of the ostracism in my first community after they stole my inheritance, right? And then I uncovered, well, one, a sexual pedophile ring. Two, COVID was really, such a big global thing for population control, giving everybody medals, right? Making everybody paramagnetic. And then the cult indoctrinated everybody after we were all put through the blackouts. Essentially, everybody was disassociated from their identities, meaning CIA's talk that's kind of like blank slating people so that they're ready for programming, which is like psychic driving, mind control, etc. How that's happening to society at large in Canada, and well, I'm guessing the United States, but I only have knowledge of what's going on here in our country, considering we're just being, a little experimented by multiple different countries. The cults are using threats of spiritual attacks. Everybody thinks they're under some sort of spiritual attack. They're worried about all this magic. I'm going to tell you right now, what they're using is called conducted energy weapons or directed energy weapons of varying types and degrees. And these are things that are typically in our country, here in Canada, only supposed to be issued to police or military or things of that nature. However, people are smart, people know how to build things, and so they've been utilizing these, and this is why so many people are suffering very, very, very big medical problems, mental problems, etc. So many unexplained different things, because really, when this energy and this electromagnetic radiation is coming at you or hurting your body, it's degrading you at an accelerated rate. It's killing you. So it's hard to, pinpoint. It's not like it's really just blasting one thing, unless you're going through, the torture like myself, where they will actually give you STDs by using public toilets, etc., or drug you enough that they will actually give you a medical procedure while you're sleeping, while inside a fucking shelter in this country, because that's what happened to me in the last several weeks. So, a little quick backstory, because I've had all the videos and I'll show you guys more. I'll clip them in here. What we had this past 2 weeks for me, I was in Hope, BC at the women's shelter. They had a girl infiltrated there with one of the weapons right on the other side of the wall from me. It was fucking killing me. I was suffering so hard because I was been sober. I've been trying to stay sober, but the reason I had to relapse myself is because if you sleep and your body is still for that many hours while they have it blasted at you, your organs take a significant hit. And in my case, they were blasting it right at my heart, right at my mind, until I got pregnant again with no knowledge of my own, because I haven't been sexually active in my conscious mind. And so then it was blasted at my uterus until the baby died. Now, how does this apply broad scale? Well, I'm going to get into that if I have to later on, but I'm really, really hoping that by the end of today, this is over for me. And I can move on to the bigger projects that will help you guys in more bigger ways than just disclosing the larger global domination stuff that's going on that really doesn't apply specifically to each individual, except for the fact that you guys need to protect yourselves against 5G and Bluetooth, because that is what they're using for all the subliminal programming. Now, society at large is all going to be backlashing. You guys are going to say, we're not being mind controlled. No? Well, I'm going to give you a really big, obvious fact and how you can see and prove this for yourself. If you're in Canada, especially on the West Coast, look around and tell me how many gay people you see. Sorry to the homosexuals who are sensitive and who I'm going to butt hurt in this video. Get over it. Look around and see for yourselves. They are actually mentally programming our entire society to be homosexual. And it's working. Only since COVID, the homosexual numbers have like tenfolded. All you see are feminine men, masculine women, and people losing babies at an accelerated rate, because that is the plan. Population control, by making everybody a homosexual. I watched it happen with people I love. I'm seeing it happen in large numbers on the West Coast. It's breaking my heart. When it came to everybody attacking me, it was so hard to wrap my head. I'm like, how is it so many people? Like, how are they roping in thousands and thousands of innocent people who have known nothing about me to facilitate torture towards me. I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I refuse to believe that many people by nature are just that evil and that, dark and willing to just partake out of their own free will and participation. But it turns out they aren't all. Because they have nailed this mind programming thing to such a freaking degree that they can engage people using tactics, as used by, bigger Central Intelligence agencies like the CIA, where they can just pretty much trigger them like this, using those Bluetooth 5G networks and things of that nature. I promise. This isn't just me being a conspiracy. This is part of the research that I've been doing for a year. I do have a significant amount of facts and different literature that I will try to link in the comments to this video so that you guys can check yourselves. Like, for example, there's a PDF document I've been studying from the Canadian Health Association on the effects of these conducted energy weapons and what they know about them thus far and the long-term effects on a person's health and everything. Because why? Well, I've been being attacked by them for over 365 days in a row, and I just keep growing and getting stronger. Thank God, actually, because if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here to share this message with you guys. But so I'm in hope, and I'm getting attacked. And so I called the police, which I've already done. I'll show you guys the video of when I called them in Cache Creek when I was being poisoned. And the cop, right on camera, refused to even investigate my complaint. And instead of assisting me in any regard, said, "Now you're not welcome here. You have 10 minutes to go." After I had just called saying I'm being attacked and poisoned, I was then thrown out on the street, just like that, by this corrupt police. It's on video. Then I go to Hope. I call the police there. I'll show you that video. The police walk up. I say what's happening. Sure, maybe I could have been just in a paranoid psychosis delusion. That is one probability of what could have been happening in that situation. Had there been any discovery or any investigation or anything of the sort, we could have at least ruled that out, right? And done some research to see that there was very much a conducted energy weapon in the room right beside mine. They refused to even hear me out, look at the clip, see how they treated me about it. Then they tell me that day that there was still an Alberta warrant from the Alberta RCMP, the corrupt attachment that started all of this for me in Hinton, Alberta, for the false abduction charge on my own son, which I also have a video, which you guys have seen and it's still on my channel. Right before that incident in December 2023, I have the RCMP members on video manipulating me and retaliating me against me for my 7 most recent CRCC complaints against them for corruption and allowing my children and I to continuously be abused and not helping us. And the RCMP members has my parenting order on camera and says to me, so I have this lovely parenting order here, and then this is where the quote comes in. He quotes my last complaint on them that I gave to the CRCC that says, the one that we pick and choose when we want to follow and when we don't want to follow. And I said, oh, good. And he goes, I'm the one that I always follow. And I said, oh, fantastic. But then he proceeds to tell me, while manipulating the wording of the parenting order, that they had denied to enforce for me for 6 months, leading to the alienation of me from my 5-year-old, again from the abusive party. 6 months I didn't get to hear about my child's well-being. I didn't get to know if he was alive, if he was sick, if he was sad, if he was hungry, nothing. Not because I had lost him, because of all the corruption. So then he tells me, you're not having your son. I had just driven from Edmonton. I hadn't seen my son for months. And my ex-husband and his father, who is the controller of all the things over there, had already agreed and knew that it was my time. They were willing to have, I was there to pick up my son. But the RCMP, who was retaliating abuse upon me for reporting him, is on camera saying, you cannot have your son. So I cried all the way back to Edmonton. And then the next time I actually got to go and get him for Christmas, I brought him with me to BC to get a protection order. And we were with the Battered Women's Support Services, and we were going to be in front of a judge in BC the very next day for a protection order. Only my Masonic ex-husband's father had me found within 24 hours. They swarmed me on the street and arrested me in front of my son. They took my son back to the abusive party without doing any discovery after I begged the Ministry of Children's Services to please just keep him in their care then until they did an investigation. I said, you don't believe me, but you can't just believe them either. They're on record. He's been convicted of assault on me and went to prison. He was then convicted of assaulting my older son while in his care on camera at school. They didn't do it. They just handed him back. I've been trying to fight that charge because it's a misfeasance of justice. It's literally illegal with all of the evidence that I have that they were even able to charge me. And the fact that they have held on to it for this long proves the corruption. And it will very much get me my misfeasance of justice, which I am owed now. But fast forward to Hope 2 weeks ago. So the Hope RCMP tells me, oh, actually, you have an Alberta warrant. And I said, for the false abduction charge that I'm seeking a misfeasance of justice, I said, okay, well, then I'll deal with it when I get to Alberta. Oh, no, I'm going to be arresting on you right now. The day that, and I have it on camera, you guys, so I'll share it with you, the day that I called for assistance again. Instead, they kicked me out of that safe home again, and so that the cop could arrest me. They arrest me. That cop is going through my belongings on the street before they even got me in the car, snooping through my personal things, looking at the evidence that I have that I'm building against them, snooping through it all, taking shit, going through shit. Well, I had already said I need to go to the hospital because I was having chest pains from the attack. That's why I had called them that morning. I was going to call an ambulance, but they said they would assist me in getting to the hospital. They didn't. They then arrested me, had me in cuffs with the chest pain, and denied and ignored my screams for assistance, you guys. Then instead of taking me to the hospital, they take me directly to the RCMP station where I literally was screaming in chest pain. I've never had a heart attack. I didn't know why my chest was hurting, but I do know that I was being attacked by these electronic weapons the whole time that I was in that house. I said, I don't know why my chest, he's like, I don't believe you. The last thing I remember before I woke up in the hospital in Hope was crying on the floor of the jail cell in Hope because they wouldn't give me a blanket or a mat on account of my crying and asking for assistance. They said I wasn't worthy of one and I didn't get one right now until I was calmed down. I remember crying and saying, my chest hurts, please, my chest hurts. Well, and then I woke up in the hospital and the nurse told me that they had brought me in unconscious. The ambulance brought me in unconscious. They picked up my unconscious body from the Hope RCMP on the ground and brought me in, and they hadn't been able to wake me up for 3 hours. They don't know why. But they cleared me of a heart attack and handed me back to the RCMP. The RCMP, who was supposed to then bring me to Chilliwack that day to be put in front of a justice of the peace, grabbed my arm on the door out of the hospital and said, because you fucking pulled that shit, you're spending the night in our cells with no blanket. So that's what I did. With a kidney infection, sick, and already being attacked for 2 weeks, I then had to spend the night overnight in Hope, freezing fucking cold on the floor, crying and shaking like a dog. Then they brought me for my remand and they brought me to the Maple Ridge Women's Prison, ACCW, where they segregated me as soon as I got there. They said it was for medical observation. It wasn't. It was because I was being attacked by those weapons from right outside, and so they wanted me facilitated in a more private spot that they could make sure they would have access to be able to attack me, to continue to attack me. I have 6 documents from the 6 or 7 days that I was there with different lies and excuses as to why they were putting me through all of this torture while inside the prison. Then, Alberta didn't even come to pick me up from the warrant. So I spent 7 days being tortured inside the prison after that, and then they released me. After going through all my stuff, having half been in Hope and half in Maple Ridge. I went to Hope, I was able to gather some of my belongings from there, and I came to the Lower Mainland to try to seek some assistance. I ended up in a shelter in New Westminster, but it was like an open shelter. I've never been into one of those shelters before in my lifetime, because I'd never been to a shelter before they started doing this to me and took everything like this. They quite literally telling everybody like I'm this big loser. Oh no, this is the stuff that I'm telling you guys. This has been ongoing since 2021. The few things that I've mentioned in this video over the last couple of weeks which happened to me, this is continuously happening to me, these things in increase. Well, they continue to steal and lie and rape and do whatever the hell that they want to do. So, I'm asking you guys for help right now because I don't have any from anywhere else. I have no protection in my entire fucking country right now, at all. I can't go to a safe place because every safe place has been infiltrated by the corrupt system, and so if they don't have somebody in there already, they breach the outside. Or they'll send somebody else in as a client. In my case, in this place in New Westminster last week, because these people are all drug addicts, and I'm whatever against people that are struggling through addictions, myself included, but they're easier and cheaper to manipulate. They'll do things for a lot less money, and they're easier to mind control on account of they're not stable in their own heads. So they're preying on more innocent and more weak people in order to use them to attack me. I was being drugged so heavily in there, I couldn't even stay, I couldn't even sleep. I had to leave and literally go out on the street with all my shit while being under attack because I was so fucking sick and scared in there from being attacked so hard. I didn't want to be made to be unconscious again, because last time I was sexually assaulted, knocked up, and then given a fucking backyard abortion inside a women's shelter. This isn't a joke. This is my life. So the fear, it gets kind of real. So I left there. I was trying to find support anywhere. I wish I could go to the hospital, but on account of all the medical manipulation, that's just like handing them what they want. They want to be able to study my body and my heart now. I'm probably the only person in the world that's handled this amount of energetic attack ever, and it keeps thriving. It's been over 400 days in a row. And all I've wanted this entire time was to be free, and for me to work with the good cops and the good people to try and, help and bridge the gaps in the system. I don't want to be the girl that has to utilize all the evidence that she's counter-collected to destroy systems that could be actually doing people a lot of good, with organizations that don't have to be portrayed as evil when they can be portrayed as, sometimes we make mistakes, but sometimes we make things better. So I go downtown Vancouver after that, and I get another shelter space at the Belkin House, which is run by the Salvation Army. The very first day that I'm in there, I hadn't even slept there. Or no, I didn't sleep there. So I got there at 11:30 p.m. that night when I left the shelter. I slept, and because I had gotten to my room so late and dark, and I'm respectful, there was one other woman sleeping in a room that sleeps 4 people. So it's the only one woman, and there's 4 lockers on account of the 4 beds. 3 were empty. I put my belongings in an empty locker, and I locked them. They kick you out of that shelter at 7:30 in the morning, and you can't go back until the afternoon. So I left in the morning with my locker, and I went back in the afternoon. I got into my room. My lock had been cut, removed, and all of my things were gone. So when I went to inquire at the front desk, they go, "Oh, those were your belongings?" I said, "Yeah, of course they were. Whose would they be?" "Well, we didn't know, so we had to do that." And I said, "What?" I said, the intake worker knew. She asked me if I had my own locker. I told her yes. And they go, "Well, you put yours in the locker for the bed beside yours." I said, "But there's no other women in there." I said, "So," and it was dark. I said, "You guys couldn't have waited until 1 p.m. when I came back to ask me before looting through all of my things?" Because, as aforementioned, but not in this video, a part of this torture and the gang stalking, like, they're drugging me all the time because they need to keep me essentially confused because I know what's really going on here. But there's more purposes to them drugging me, but that's just one of them. She goes, "No." And so I say, well, I guess I can't stay here because it's very clear they've already been breached. They're drugging all of my food. So I had in that locked locker my one little small box with my little bit of income that I have of my food that I could keep because everybody's poisoning everything that I have. So I kept one little thing. So they dosed every single thing I had in there. Everything was trash. I had no fucking food left. Nothing. No money. They knew that. And very evidently, they had already been breached. Well, yes, by the only second night that I did stay there, they had their conducted energy weapons, directed energy weapons, whatever you want to call them, right in the building, right in the room. They literally put one in one of those empty lockers and then put a new "do not use" sign on the locker in the bedroom that I was in with a brand new fucking padlock after they just cut mine off. This isn't a joke. This is how fucking ballsy they are. This is how excessive this is. I then reached out to multiple other agencies for assistance. Because of how quickly they can mind control people, or how corrupt some organizations must really be with the affiliation, nobody would give me any help anywhere in Vancouver. I just kept being told no by gospel missions, churches, support services, everyone. So I'm preparing myself to, swim across the fucking ocean or something, because I'm not going to deal with this. I didn't want to have to literally be trying to take down all these things with all these other evidence that I have. I don't want that, because I truly believe that it's a smaller group of corrupt individuals who have managed to infiltrate these larger organizational systems. And I have faith that after this video, and after a couple of the emails that I'm going to be sending along with the links to this video, that those organizations will do right by me now that they realize the extent of what's going on with the, you know, maybe a few bad apples that might be among their bunches. But now I'm sitting here in Victoria. They won't give me a space anywhere. I can't get any fucking help here. Nothing. And I'm on the WCB income as my limited income. I haven't been able to earn an income on account of this gangstalking torture, you guys. With what you just heard, like, that's just the last 2 weeks. It hasn't stopped for a year like that. So when I say I needed help, I'm not just some fucking incapable, unintelligent, lazy, careless piece of shit. Quite the opposite. They have to come at me from all angles, from everywhere, using everything in order to even get me to where I am right now. So I know that if the divine is leading me to disclose all this again with you guys in this state of mind and not in a more formal format where I can just be actually linking things like like I would like to do, a more successful type of video, the divine wants to make this personal, because, like, I actually need some real help. And I know that there are great people out there. And I know that there are a lot of people who see and hear what I'm saying, who are kind of beginning to see some things for yourselves, because it's really not that hard if you look around. And if you fear, because you are, if you're in this country, you've been mind controlled recently. I'm going to tell you right now, you can break it. You have to stop hanging out with everyone you hang out with, though, right now. You need to isolate for at least several days, and you need to do so without any electronic devices. It's fucking crucial. It's the only thing that will save your life and your mind. You need to be free of that. You need to get out to the bush, you know? Go to a beach, go to a lake, go by yourself, for real, and turn your phone off for 3 days. And then come back to me. I promise you, it'll make a world of difference. You might just save your own fucking life. But for anybody else that might be in a position to offer me any assistance in Victoria today, I need that. I am not going to sleep on the street tonight and be attacked like that again. I'm not doing that. If I manage to find a shelter space, I'm sure that's already been breached, because now they know where I am, and so the corrupt people, that's what they do. They go ahead of me to anywhere that I might reach out to for assistance, right? So they can make sure that people see me coming. People know when to say no to me, or they know when to say yes to me, so they can get me into these specific places where they have the access to get to me, to either drug my food or cause me harm. I keep trying to manifest against this. I keep trying to manifest against it so hard by pretending it's not even happening, pretending it's not real. I do but it's just, it is, and it just keeps coming, and they just don't stop. On account of the corrupt ones think that if they can just shut me up, the whole thing will just continue. I'm hoping that the proper leadership that sees this, who knows me, who's been watching me also for a year, understands that I'm going to be a much better valuable asset as an ally than in opposition at this point in time. And so I would like it, and I'm sorry, and a frickin', we're going to make this right for you present, and I want it today. But if I don't get that, I'm really, really hoping that you sweet, beautiful souls that are in any way able to offer me, I don't know, safe sanctuary in the Victoria or area, like right now, immediately when you see this, I need help. Please. Or any money so that I can get myself into a safe location tonight to sleep, because I haven't had a good night's sleep in like 6 months, and that's not a joke. I keep trying, but whoever it is that's actually doing my gangstalking torture, they're incessantly psychopathic. They do not stop. They have not stopped, no matter what, which is really odd, because this entire time they know I've been collecting this evidence, and I keep saying, look, I haven't come back at you guys because I never wanted this fight. I just wanted to be free and left alone. So I've now collected all of this to prove to them, like, look, I can do this. The fact that I haven't and didn't want to is my proof of my loyalty and my willingness to be a team player. I sat here with my hands tied behind my back, just letting them hit me and 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 hit me, and God told me to keep doing that. Stay true to who you are. Don't hit back. Just keep collecting. Keep using that beautiful mind of yours and keep working. Because at some point, you may need to use all the tools that you have in your arsenal, and when you do, it's going to be a 1-2 fucking punch, and it's going to be over. I still don't want that. As a natural born leader, I understand the necessity for people to have faith in our government, to have faith in our policing, to have faith in our social support systems. So I'm really hoping that that's what's going to be happening now. Because I have been working on so many separate different frameworks to help the homelessness problem, which of course, so are they, but you know, there's some people too that are working on global domination, actually, and so these people in the shelter systems, these are the people they want dead. They're expendable, they cost a lot of money, and they're not doing a lot of good. Unfortunately, this is why we're stumbling upon shelter systems that, you know, dose people, that allow access to these cult members to attack people, because some of them are just easy to breach and they don't care that they're killing the people that they're sitting there saying that they're there to help support. I don't want to have to continue to go on and on and on and on about more different stuff that I know, because the divine says that this is enough. But when I ask for help, you guys, it's not because I'm just some drug addict loser that can't take care of myself. It's because I keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, and I'm just one woman all by herself with absolutely no support. And it's too hard. I'm outmatched. Even with God on my side, which is very true. I'm outmatched. And I'm freaking tired. And I need to heal. As mentioned, it was just this week they gave me whatever frickin' procedure it was. I don't even know. It's just I'm bleeding from places where I shouldn't be bleeding at a time where I shouldn't be bleeding. And then there's, you know, the smell of whatever medical, I guess, like, I think it's like whatever they use for cleaning, like an antiseptic smell that I can smell coming from my body. Add that to the fact that the one girl who cared about me in the shelter, she knew, because I woke up the next morning and I was just had all my stuff and I was just out of here, and she's like, what are you doing? Calm down, you should be in bed. I said, why should I be in bed? She's like, you need to rest. And I was like, I did sleep last night, I don't know what you mean. Until I started to realize that I was bleeding and I shouldn't be. And I said, oh, she knows. She knew that whatever they did to me while I was asleep last night. Well, that's cool. That's really nice. So that's what I told her on my way out. I said, you know, it's really unfortunate. I said that they wrote people like you in that, you know, in other circumstances, I said, we could have really been friends. But we're not. So I'm willing to forgive literally everything that's been done to me if this is rectified for me. But one way or another, I need help to end this, and I'm going to end it now. I'm not going to allow this to continue to happen to my life. So I think everybody now who's seeing this will hopefully understand. Let's all work together. Let's stop what's going on here right now. And work towards a better, supportive life for everybody. Where everybody can prosper and benefit and continue on living their beautiful lives without this torture destroying the entire thing. Please, you guys, I'm going to leave my PayPal link as well as my email for e-transfers below, as well as my email for contact information for anybody that has any other sort of assistance that you're willing to offer me, because it doesn't have to be money. Money would help me immediately right now, because then I could just get myself at least, it's harder to breach like certain different hotels and things. I've been, you know, learning a lot about obviously location. So if I get myself somewhere where they can't, you know, get on all sides of me and stuff, it's pretty safe in that regard. Then if I can keep myself locked in, nobody can dope my food, and I can sleep, and I could rest, and I could heal. But anything would help. Especially those of you that have knowledge on how I can get out of the country underground, because my plans I'm not 100% sure of yet, on account of I'm just all alone. And I never signed up for this. So any help at all. And I love you guys. I love you guys so much. This isn't fucking over. The attack on me will be fucking over, but this ain't over.